guys, it's LeGrandzilla, and I wanted to make a video showing how to do airbrushing. And so I have this project I've been working on, and I'm not in any way an expert at airbrushing, but I do use an airbrush once in a while. And I just wanted to give some of you guys an idea of what airbrushing is all about. What I usually do is I just take a towel, an old towel that's kind of a rag really, and I cover up my lap so I don't get paint on myself. Sometimes if the spray gets to be atomizing into the atmosphere a lot, I use this, but for this video right now I just have it on hand if I need it. I have some paints ready to go, and I also have this stuff which is called reducer, and that kind of helps keep the paint from drying on the airbrush. I got 4 airbrushes, and this one here is an Extreme Patriot 105 by Badger. I also have an Patriot 106 and a couple other Badger brushes, but I'm going to use this one because I had it refurbished recently by Badger. If you buy Badger brushes and if you have a problem with any of them, usually for me they just get too dirty and plugged, and I have trouble getting them unplugged. So you can just pay the shipping, and they'll fix it for free, charge you for any parts they need to replace. So that's really a good deal. So anyway, I keep a couple brushes ready with water. This one I use to just stir the paint, mix it, and this one is real bristly, and I use that to clean the tip of the airbrush, and we'll see how that works. I also have an old butter dish just with water in it, so I can use this thing to get water if I need it. So start out, just to show you, I'll put a little bit of water in the airbrush. I have an airbrush compressor down here that has a tank on it, and that cycles. Once in a while you're going to hear it cycle, and it'll be a little loud, but it doesn't continue to cycle very often, and because of the tank. So anyway, I'll just spray this so you can kind of see how it works. If you can see the spray there, that's just water. And this airbrush you can just push down and keep it forward, and you get a light spray, and as you pull back the spray gets heavier. And there you can hear the cycling of the compressor. And this airbrush also has a control here where I can open this up to get a little bit more force, and I could also turn the compressor down a little bit to get less force. You can see how that goes. I'm going to run the water out of this. There we go. And so this is a King Kong, which I customized to hold a branch. This is a vinyl kit, but a resin hand and tree. This is from another kit, and I wanted to use that. And I took the jaw out so I could more easily paint the inside of the mouth. Now, one thing I'm going to do here is grab one of these not latex but vinyl gloves, and I'm going to put one on this hand just to keep my hand from getting paint all over it. It keeps it dry, and so that this other hand is not, it's going to get sprayed as easily. So I'm going to mix some paint to start with. I'm going to start out with just some flesh tone, which I use quite a bit. I usually like to start with the lightest colors I'm going to paint on the figure first, and then go to darker. I'm going to add some nicotine yellow. What I'm going to do is make some color for the mouth, inside the mouth. And I'm just going to put a drop or two of just red. I don't like to make the inside of the mouth too red, maybe a little more red than a human. And let's see, it's not coming out right away, there's not a whole lot left in there. gotta keep that upside down. And I'll grab a different red. There we go. This is a little more of a bluish red. A drop or two of that. And maybe I'll add just a tick of brown. And I'll stir that up and see if I like the color. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to add a little reducer to this too. A couple drops of that. Stir it again. This here is a box that I just turned over, a very big box that I use as sort of an airbrush booth, and that enables me to keep the spray from atomizing and going all over the place. And so I can just spray this here and see how it looks. And so I'm going to go ahead and spray the, I always keep a rag nearby. I'm going to spray the inside of that mouth gate on the tongue a little bit. And I'm not going to try to make it perfect. I'm not experienced and good enough with an airbrush to actually paint the teeth with an airbrush. I'm going to do that with a hand brush. I used to always use a hand brush for everything I did, till I finally got a little more used to using an airbrush. And so I'm pretty happy with the color. Just want a little bit more here. And it won't matter if I get a little bit in other places, because I can just paint over it. Mainly I want to get just a nice coating, and I'm probably going to use a hand brush to go over the tongue and such anyway. Anyway, I still have quite a bit of paint in my thing, but that's alright. What I'm going to do is I'm going to convert it into the next color I want to do. A little bit more here. You know, I could just spray a little bit on the face just to get some tones of that color. But what I'll do now is make the color for the skin. And I'm going to use this, it's called ebony flesh. It's kind of a brownish color. And I'll use quite a bit of that. And I think I'll add a little bit more of this flesh tone. I might add some gray, but first I'll just see how this looks. Because with the amount of red in there, it might be a little bit too red. And I think it's going to be pretty good. Probably a good base color for the skin. Kind of a brownish. So let's just see how it looks there. So you get some of the red out of there first, and then it turns to brown. So what I'm doing is just, most of us guys have hairy chests. He doesn't have hair on his chest like we do. Sometimes it's hard to get the angle you want to get everything. Just got to be patient. I don't mind going a little darker than I want to because I can dry brush lighter colors on there, or I can actually use the airbrush to hit the highlights with a lighter color, which I might do here. This way I can get it in the cracks, the darker color. Okay, do a little on his face. The eyes are pretty small. I definitely will paint those with a hand brush. So I just want to make sure and not forget to paint all the areas that are going to be this color. I've painted King Kongs before where I've got my airbrush out, did everything, and then realized I didn't do the chest, or I didn't do the bottom jaw. Have to go back and do it again. So now I'll do the bottom jaw part without the hair. See why I wear the gloves now? Okay, a little bit there. So, I think that looks a little dark, and so what I'll do is add some tan again. Let's see if I can get some highlights. When I do airbrushing, I usually takes me quite a while, and so I'm not going to finish this project during this video. Yeah, so I got a little lighter now. I just kind of hit that lighter color on his forehead there, and on top of his nose, his cheeks. Top of his hand, his palm. You see the difference there a little bit? Doesn't have to be perfect. Bit on this thing. Alright, so I still have quite a bit of extra paint, and so what I'm going to do is, I'm not real fussy about having the colors perfect in here, and since I use this so much for Kong skin tones and darker skin tones, I'm just going to pour most of it back into this bottle, so it doesn't go to waste. And so for Kong's hair, I'll probably use this reddish brown. This is actually a primer called Red Brown Primer, and I'm going to make this my base coat, so I'll use quite a bit of it because there's quite a bit to paint. and I'll go back with a darker brown to do some of the shadows later, and I don't know if we'll see that in this video. But for now, I'm just going to stir this. And this airbrush is working great so far because it was recently fixed. But what I generally will do is use a brush like this and just clean the tip off of any dry paint. And I really don't have a problem with that right now. I'm going to run that till I get the red. There we go. So this will be a nice color for particularly for the highlights of his fur. And later I could do some oil washes, which would be like a darker brown. It'll go in the cracks in this hair and should make it look pretty cool. Just getting the basic base coat on there. But yeah, I'll have to go back and probably do the ears by hand anyway because they're so small. I oversprayed a little bit onto the forehead, but that's okay. I can either go back over it with airbrush, or I can always just do some hand painting. But this is a lot faster than trying to hand brush the whole thing and get paint in all these crevices. So you get the idea. So maybe I'll come back in a little bit and show you some progress. So I've painted everything on there, and the thing that always inevitably happens is I have to look at it from lots of different angles because that fur doesn't get painted just from hitting it once. It needs to be hit from different angles. So what I wanted to do now was put some darker brown in with my lighter brown to get a slightly darker shade. I'll mix it here, put reducer in there. Because I don't want all the hair to look just the same. You see it's a little darker than it was. So I'm going to spray that darker color in the natural crevices, like down between his legs and behind his knees. And just get it to show a little bit of shadow. I'll do under his arms too. Hit behind his legs. Wherever I think there's going to be some shadow, put a little bit, so under his arms, a little bit darker. Maybe a little bit of his waist area, his back. Where some of the joints are, I'll do. so it's not all the same color here. Do here between his around his belly. Just a little bit there. And that'll help the, when I paint highlights, it'll help that to come out a little better. Okay, so I got plenty of paint, so I'm going to pour some of that back. That one was a little harder to open. And I've decided I want to go back over some of the skin tones again and make them just a little lighter again. So I'm going to go back with my light flesh color. Add some reducer. And this is going to be quite a bit lighter this time. You can see as I spray it. You can see that's quite a bit lighter than what I did before. So since I had some overspray from the hair, I just want to hit some of these areas again. And I noticed, like on that finger there, it didn't even get any paint, or it didn't look like it anymore. That's okay, this is just a chance for me to go back over it. Do his knuckles, and his forehead. The great thing about painting is you can just paint it again, it's not a problem. Reminds me of Bob Ross, because I'm gonna paint the tree, and we can call it a happy little tree, just like you would. I'm thinking this color would also be a good paint to use on the tree roots. I don't want them to be, I want them to be a little bit lighter than the tree itself. And I'll probably do washes and stuff, but I'll just spray those roots with this color. That needs a little more. As I spray, the color's getting a little bit lighter, so I'm just kind of going over some of these again and again to get a little lighter in some areas that I want. And I'm happy with the results. If you do your best at every stage, like the airbrushing, it'll just make it easier for you to do your best on the hand brushing, and hopefully you'll be happy with the end result. I think I'll use this color while I got it, just to paint the tree bark a little bit. That's not the only color I'll use on the tree bark. I just want to get some color down. Since I really don't want to get any green on this kit at all, I think I'll do the leaves of this tree entirely with hand brush, just to avoid all that. Well, it's starting to look like Kong, right? More than it did when I started. And so I'm going to get rid of this paint now. And for the tree, I think for the bark I'm going to make it kind of a gray color to start. So I'm going to pick out a little black and here's a gray. It's kind of a basic gray. Put some of that gray in there. And just a drop of black, because black goes a long way. And we'll see what it looks like. So I'm just going to spray some of this gray on the bark. Okay, I wanted to show you one more thing, and that is I've finished painting, and so I'm running just clear water through until I get all the water. The water's clear at the end. So I put it in there and just stir it as though it was paint. And I still have a little bit of color in there. So I'm going to spray that out. Just full blast. And then I'll add some more water. Stir that. And you see it's getting more clear. Spray that out. And then once I've done all that, I'm going to use this airbrush cleaner. Put a little of that in there. Just clean inside the bowl a little bit more. And then just run that airbrush cleaner till it's out. Now I'll put a little more water again and just finish it up. You can do this between colors if you really want to. It doesn't hurt to clean it more often, but I like to leave it clean each time. Alright, that's it. Thanks.